Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons Insurance, where you can be a member of the Shannons Club. Pace Farm, the enjoyable egg. Hare and Forbes Machinery House. And Gun Lake Quarries. Today I bring you to Tanya Park, north of Sydney, New South Wales. It's about the Sydney Machina Social Club, and you're about to see some of their members' cars in this week's Classic Restos on the road. Who could pass up an opportunity than to take in a glorious ocean backdrop view, such as the one here at Tanya Park? Classic cars and classic views. What a combination. But first, here's a little about a club with a big heart. Welcome to the Sydney Machina Social Club. It's a brand new, modern motoring social club. How cool is that? Hosting the warm, friendly Italiano persona. All ages are welcome too. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do. You are most welcome at the Sydney Machina Social Club. Priding themselves on encapsulating the dedicated motoring enthusiast community, all types of machines are welcome. Vintage, veteran, classic, custom, hot rods, modern, exotic and motorcycles. Yep, if it has pistons and wheels, it's welcome here. And to tell us more, here's Sam.
Well, welcome to the Sydney Machina Social Club. We're here on the Northern Beaches. We're a fairly new club. We have been going on for the last 5 years, and yeah, I think we're very lucky to have such a wonderful club. We have a great mix of people and a great mix of cars. It's the old cliche, it's the wonderful cars that bring us together, but it's the people that keep us together. We're really proud of our little club, but what we're also really proud of is the events that we hold. We hold monthly Machines and Macchiatos events, and we also do an annual event. Over the past 5 years we've been doing our events. We've raised over $70,000, which we're really proud of, for our wonderful charities. We support Bear Cottage and Cure Brain Cancer, and it's just a wonderful thing to be part of the motoring fraternity, creating events for not only our members but people all over Sydney, but also to be giving people in our fraternity the opportunity to give back to the community. Our monthly events are the third Sunday of every month, and we'll be back next year in full swing. And then we have our annual event, which is something first for Sydney. It's a 2-day event. And again, both events are a wonderful opportunity for people to get their cars out, but also the general public to come along and be part of the events, but also to raise some money for our charities. So with our monthly Machines and Macchiatos events, that is it's a typical cars and coffee events where you rock up around about 7:30 and we're all done by about 9:30, 10 o'clock. We do some raffles, we give away some prizes, we raise money for our charities, and it's just a really fun, relaxed social event. You can bring your family, you can bring your kids. It's really wonderful. And as we mentioned, the 2-day events is just like a big cars and coffee event. So all the details for both of those events are on our website, which is machinesandmacchiatos.org. Now, it doesn't matter who you are or what you drive, we'd love you to be a part of our club.
What a working environment here this morning at Tanya Park. How are you, Laurie?
I'm fine, Fletch. How are you?
Great, mate, great. What a lineup of cars.
It's a beautiful day for it as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. This would have to go down as probably one of the best mixed variants for a small quantity of vehicles at one time together.
Well, this is one of the great things about the Machines and Macchiatos Club, is that there is no particular mark of car. So we get a whole variety.
Now, your E-type Jag, a 1970, a Series 2. Wow, this is a stunning car. What can you tell us?
Okay, well, I've owned the car since 2007, I think it was when I purchased it, and fell in love with it on first sight. It had been restored 2 or 3 years earlier.
Laurie, the car has been done to perfection. And what is it about a black car with a red interior? We have the oxblood leather there in colour. Wow, what a contrast.
It is absolutely fabulous. Love the colour scheme. Keeping a black car clean and polished is not easy without getting swill marks in the paint. I had the car detailed just a few years ago, but an amazing job. I don't know how he did it, but he managed to remove all of the swirl marks, and I've tried to keep it that way ever since.
And there's nothing like a paint finish that has been done properly. I know you're watching the show, you might have something to do with the panel industry or the auto refinishing game, and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, I know exactly what to do there. And if you are thinking that, that's fantastic, because there's been plenty of us over the years where we've tried to do polishing jobs, and sometimes that it just hasn't quite worked out.
Yes, indeed. Shortly after I bought the car, I took it back to the workshops there to have a service done.
Yep.
As far as I was concerned, the car was pretty much as perfect as you could get. The mechanic there, he said, I'll have a look over it for you. And then a couple of days later, I got an email with about 4 pages of things that needed to be done on it. And
that's always nice to receive, isn't it?
I know. And, anyway, at a cost. He said, don't panic. Most of these things are relatively simple, small things. I mean, it was details like the rubber seal behind the bumper had been put in back to front. There were 2 panels underneath overlapping in the wrong direction. The biggest thing was the exhaust was rotting, and we decided to put a stainless steel exhaust. So he produced this list, and I said to him, Evo, how come you didn't mention all this when I bought it? He said, well, you weren't my customer then.
But it's the sort of car, though, that it has to be perfected. You can't have one of these looking rough. It couldn't possibly remain how that was like that.
That's right, absolutely. So I let him do everything that was on the list.
So what, you sold one of your spare houses to cover it, something like that, Laurie?
I sold one of my children, actually, yeah. And
okay, Laurie, tell us up front, what's under the hood and how does that perform?
Okay, it's a 4.2 litre straight 6 engine. It's not got the grunt that an American V8 muscle car would have, but it's got plenty of power and absolutely fabulous exhaust note.
They made up with a bit of slipstream with these cars too, with their windswept design too. Very streamlined, weren't they? They were just like a cigar, just slicing through the air.
Look, the British car industry went through a period about that time where they were using what they call the teardrop shape to design cars. So good examples of those would be like the Lotus 11, the Marcos was a good example, and the E-type is very similar.
Again, I think it's just one of those cars that, you could be doing 60 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour or 30 miles an hour, and it just looks good on the road. It's just the way that it sits. It's themed on the cat, the Jaguar, and that's exactly what it does.
My relationship with Jaguars goes back to my early childhood, and I just happened to have an early black and white photo with me of my father's 3.8 Mark II Jaguar. There's me sitting in the car, my 4 younger brothers leaning against it, probably taken about 1960 in the Yorkshire Dales.
Family history with a classic car. You can't get much better than that. Laurie, on that note, thank you so much for bringing this car along here and sharing it with us today. Beautiful job, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, Fletch. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.
Every weekend around Australia, motoring enthusiasts get together to share their passion for cars and bikes. It's a passion that brings us together. All sorts of people, all sorts of cars and bikes, from the classics of today to the classics of tomorrow. At Shannons, we understand enthusiasts, so when it comes to insurance, it's got to be Shannons. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46 for a quote.
Hare and Forbes Machinery House has been family owned and operated for over 85 years, and it's easy to see why. Planning on welding? Look at these welding tables and clamps, air compressors and different air tools, sandblasting cabinets, through to spray guns. Everyone is welcome at Machinery House. There are competitive freight rates around Australia, and you can buy online at machineryhouse.com.au. So remember, Hare and Forbes has the range. Moving through Tanya Park here as we do. How are you, Craig?
I'm good, thanks. Fletch, yourself?
Good, thanks. Are you having fun?
Always.
What a wonderful club this is for you to be a part of.
That's a brilliant club, and we've only got Sam to thank from that. Sam's been a wonderful bloke for the club. We get people from all over Sydney that come out. They bring their classic cars. They're good people. We all mingle together and we have a great time.
The word passion is often used for our fraternity. Of course, Shannons uses it as well. You could see in Sam's interview his passion for the club and what you guys stand for.
Yeah, Sam's club, we're a non-profit club. Anything that we raise goes to Bear Cottage and curing brain cancer, and that's our main focus. Our main focus is the children and bringing just all guys in the car industry who don't get a chance to bond together. We bond together for a coffee and we catch up once a month and we have a good time, and then we go home and we go back to our normal lives.
And this is what I love so much about promoting a bike show, a car show, a truck show, because 99.9% of the fraternities and the car shows all stand for great causes, which is awesome. And a part of these clubs is obviously the cars. A 1960 Corvette we've got here, 283 fuel-injected V8. Wow, what a weapon in its day, Craig.
Yeah, it's a beautiful car. It's one of those cars that if you're around in 1960, you had to be a doctor or a lawyer to be able to afford it.
That's what my dad always said. Rest his soul, that's what Dad always used to say. Doctors and lawyers, son, those cars. So automatically you think, I'll never get anything like that.
Yeah. You'd actually be surprised, Fletch. Even a roofer can afford one now. So I said it's brilliant.
The winner of Le Mans back in the day in 1960, it really put the cat amongst the pigeons with Maserati and Porsche and Lamborghini. It did the mark very proud back in the day. 283 cube V8, as I mentioned earlier, the mechanical fuel injection. What a high-tech device for 1960.
They started in 1957 and they ran it through till about 1963, but what actually changed the mechanical fuel injection, a lot of mechanics had a lot of problems working on it and trying to tune it right. So in 63, engine complacement got better with General Motors, and consequently with the fuel injection, that disappeared by the wayside to a bigger block engine, which took over from there.
Isn't it interesting that the early designs have been around so long? We can go back to Preston Tucker in 1948, talking about he wanted fuel injection with the Tucker back then. So all these early ideas that are being used and perfected these days, well, most times they're perfected in 2020, but they've been around a long time, Craig, haven't they?
Yes, they have. And realistically, if you look at Australia, I think the Commodore got fuel injection in 1986.
Story of this car, what can you tell us, Craig?
Purchased the car in Florida. I bought it on eBay in 2011. I bought it really sight unseen. I was probably a little bit naive about purchasing motor cars.
And your fingernails didn't start growing again until you saw it delivered.
And that was about 6 months later. I was starting to wonder whether I was ever going to see the car. I bought the car. It was supposed to be mechanically perfect, a meticulous restoration. When I got it here, unfortunately, it was a bucket of bolts, and I had to go through the process of rebuilding it. It's an old car, the bones are right. It was an original car. It had been painted once before.
So matching numbers?
Matching numbers, yes.
Oh, there you go. We've got a 1960 Corvette here, and what you've been through, you've got this beautiful product in the end. It's a matching numbers car, and I think with a car like this, to be matching numbers is important as well. I think it's not be all end all, but when we look at a performance car and over the decades and how long these cars have been around, they've been raced, they've been pranged, they've had more engine swaps than we've had hot dinners. So to come out all these years down the track and still have your original engine, there's a lot to be said for that.
Absolutely there is, and that was the reason why I bought the car in the first place.
We look at that interior, absolute perfection there, Craig. I've always thought that the big grab rail, such an intimidating part of a dashboard, because what is that it's suggesting for the passenger?
I've seen them hold on to it when I go around corners.
Okay, so tell us, Craig, the build time on the car, how long has it taken you to get it to where it is now?
From start to finish, I didn't touch it for probably about 3 years, and then I had a friend who had a panel shop in a country town called Young, and he let me restore the car there. So I took six weeks off work, And him and the boys there, they got in, they helped me. We ripped it apart, we stripped it back, and we rebuilt it the way it should be built.
That's awesome. Craig, thank you so much for coming along with the Corvette. I mentioned earlier about the diverse range that turned up here today. It's wonderful. We can't do an interview with everybody here today, but just the cross selection of what's turned up is awesome.
That's the beauty of the car club, because it's just a cross range. There's not just Fords or Holdens. There's everything. There's BMWs, there's Ferraris, there's Jaguars. There's just a cross range of really nice cars. And that's what I like about the club.
Good on you, Craig. Well,
Thanks, Fletch.
you're standing proud and continuing the tradition with everything, mate, and the club's a big part of it. So
Thank you.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks, Fletch.
Now, James here is a member of Machines and Macchiatos. How are you, buddy?
Very well, Fletch. Yourself?
Good, good. I had to interview you with your 1948 2CV.
Yes, that's right. Well, it's actually a 1987, but they first came out in 1948, and not very different to the original.
The French don't like change, do they? A design coming out in 1948 and essentially remaining the same for all those decades. And these two CVs have got such a following, James.
Yeah, they do. We have a bit of a close group within Australia, so we all keep together, have our own little Facebook page, and get together once or twice a year and all keep in contact around the country.
What an incredible thing they are. These things are actually designed to lean out of a corner, right?
They are. They've got a very long travel suspension designed to travel over ploughed French fields without breaking a basket of eggs.
Now, I don't know about you, but do you get up every morning and have to go across a ploughed field carrying the eggs?
I do when I can.
Of course. James, this the condition of this, 1986, now not a silly question, they must have changed some things through the decades. What are some of those, if there are any changes, can you please elaborate?
There's a few. The original one had a 425cc engine. It went up to 435cc. This one has the big engine, has a 602cc.
Now, before you start getting excited, that's 602 cc's. That's not 602 cubes.
No, 602cc's of brute horsepower.
It's in beautiful condition. When was it restored, James?
2013, I had it pulled apart.
Have you always liked them? Is it something that goes way back with you? Or?
Yeah, since I was a kid, literally. So I used to buy model cars when I was 9 or 10 of them. Always wanted one as a teenager. So I got the opportunity in 2001 when we were living over in the UK and got exactly the model that I wanted.
Is it just the sheer fascination to a vehicle that is so incredibly different, I guess you could say?
Yeah, it's a design icon. I love the shape of it. I love the character. Like all the cars that you hear today, they've all got a story behind them, and this is a good example of one.
Good on you, mate. Trying to fit everybody in here today is no easy task. But, James, I had to have a quick chat with you. Thanks for coming along. You arrived a little bit late today. You were out on a coffee run, right?
I was. I brought the coffees for everyone, including yourself.
Smooth coffee, not shaken, delivered in the 2CV. It's Soft Springs that did that.
Not a single spillage. It's a testament to the car, Fletch.
You're proud of your work, aren't you, James?
I am, very much so.
Good on you, mate. Thanks for catching up. We don't see one of these 2CVs every day of the week, especially not very often on Classic Restos either. There was a French show. You might like to search for that on the Shannons Club at the Melbourne Port around about 5 or 6 years ago. That was a great show. It really was. There were some great cars on that. That may have been the last time I had a 2CV on the show. I'm not too sure.
Yeah. Well, you obviously need more, but I'm glad that you had the opportunity to see another one today.
Well, it's good, James, to see that you've cornered the market on the rush on these things.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, thanks, Fletch.
You're welcome. Thanks, James.
Thanks, mate.
I've been a motoring enthusiast all my life. My Coupe 4 is rare and very special. A real performance car with all-wheel drive grip. I'm not a car club bloke and I don't work on it myself, but I do have a great mechanic. One day, I might even get that HQ. When it comes to insurance, it's got to be Shannons.
Shannons shares your passion. Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
If you have a classic, it just has to be insured with Shannons. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat on 134646. And the Shannons Club awaits you. For more information, visit shannons.com.au. Moving on through, time for Darren now. Hello, mate.
Hello, Fletch. How are you?
Great, mate. Yourself?
Really good, really good.
Good spot this, isn't it?
Magic spot up here, yeah. Really nice to get out in the sunshine.
What a backdrop in front of this glorious HQ. Had a few HQs on classic Restos, not a lot of 71s. It's an early build, this one.
Very early car, yeah. It was built 71. It's an August built car, so quite early in that series. Funny enough, though, it wasn't sold till 73, so it sort of does go to say they were sort of slowing down in being sold back in the day. The old two doors, yeah.
Imagine if this car was for sale now. It wouldn't be hanging around for very long, would it?
I don't think so, no. No, they're very hot at the moment.
Darren, I love the colour, but we'll talk about that in a moment. A matching numbers car, genuine car, 308 4-speed.
Yep, it is. So, managed to have the original warranty card with the car, so that sort of proves all that. Yeah, so that was good to have. Yeah.
Where did you find it, may I ask?
It was actually at Wallara. It'd come up back in the day when you used to have the old trading post, so I used to look every Thursday for about the last 4 years before that, and it was actually the weekend of the Bathurst races, so I think I was a bit lucky because everyone was up at the races and I hadn't gone yet. And come across it and went out and had a look at about 9:30 at night, and there it was.
The original houndstooth interior, Darren, it's just so becoming of a car like this. It's just sensational. It's beautiful. It just looks so good. Dashboard, everything's perfect. What a car. This is really one great example.
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, it is. Growing up, I was 72 model, so you just grow up with that houndstooth look of the cars and the HQs. My first car that I remember my father having was a HQ Premier. So, it's always sort of been HQs in the family for me.
When you bought the car, obviously it wasn't like this. Did you have to do much to it?
Yeah, I did. When we took it for a drive that night, it had a big double pumper Holly, so it didn't run well, and had a couple of teeth off the cluster on the gearbox. So, yeah, we had to sort of do a bit of mechanical stuff just to get it right, which I knew. And then, bit the bullet and did the paintwork after that, about sort of 7 years after driving it around. So, yeah.
It's incredible too, the history of these cars and what they go through. You know, early modifications of maybe the wrong camshaft being installed and it doesn't run right, so the guy sells it. Next bloke comes along and thinks that cylinder heads will fix it, so ported heads go on. That might not fix the problem. Sells the car. Third bloke comes along, needs a bigger Holly on it. Like, there's a whole row of progressions that can happen with these cars, and in the end the finished product just runs like an absolute shocker. It's good just to go back to the bare bones and, well, start from scratch.
Yeah, well, that's what this car was. It had this weird towing cam in it, so it had no get up and go. Big high rear springs, would have had the spoiler on the back. We saw the holes where the spoiler used to be. Had a LS twin headlight front.
Now, Darren, to the paint. Now, the colour, what is it called?
Salamanca Red. So that, again, is a factory for... I think it ran through for most of the HQ range. So
it's a beautiful, rich colour, very, very deep colour, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think it's got a fair bit of black in the paint. It's it covers quite well. It is. Changes colour from fluoro lights to the outside lights, probably best in the sun. But it's a good colour red.
And of course, showcasing the car, the wheels. You haven't gone, too far away from the genuine product here and gone mad with mag wheels. You've got the rally wheels. Look fantastic with the car.
Yeah, they do. They really make this model, I think. And they never came out with mag wheels on them like the Citroëns did as options. So I had to stick with the original wheel style. Yeah.
It's all part of the fun, Darren, when you do that attention to detail stuff, and then when you've finished, you look at what you've got, and that's a great feeling.
Yeah, it is. It sort of sits at home, and when it's out and about, and you give it a sneaky glance at home under the cover every now and again to make sure it's you remind you of all those hours you put into it, for sure.
The things that I've heard, and we all do it, car guys, go down to the shed at night and lift up the car cover and just have a look underneath, or open a door and sit in it. Yeah. You do. You know what I'm talking about.
That's right, exactly. No, you got to do it. Just
give it a little love tap before you go to bed at night.
That's right. Yeah, give it a cuddle and a kiss, and before you go off to bed. So no.
Best part about it is, when you wake up in the morning, it's still going to be there waiting for you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, for sure. No, it's good.
Good on you, Darren. Thank you. Again, not a lot of 71 HQs around, especially like this. It's great to see what you've done here. We're talking re-chroming of bars, beautiful wheels, beautiful interior. The paint is superb. The dashboard is just like it rolled out of Holden. Also, too, matching numbers car, 308 4-speed. It is the hamburger with the lot for this type of car, and mate, well done.
No worries, thanks, Fletch.
Well, it's been really lovely filming this week's episode of Classic Restos here at Tanya Park, New South Wales. And it's a big thanks to the people of Machines Macchiatos. Yes, a wonderful group of people that chose to come here today to film this week's show. And I hope that you have really enjoyed it. Until next week, no matter where you're watching Classic Restos from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch, and I thank you very much for watching. You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/ClassicRestosTV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons Insurance, where you can be a member of the Shannons Club. Pace Farm, the enjoyable egg. Hare and Forbes Machinery House. And Gun Lake Quarries.